Welcome to DentonRadio.com, powered in part by Classic of Denton. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning in here at DentonRadio.com. We're sitting down with some heavy hitters in the Denton community today to talk about something really special that is coming up this weekend. The Day of the Dead Festival is kicking off on Saturday. Really exciting time here in Denton. And so we have got two people very involved with what's going on here in the studio. If they would like to introduce themselves.
Sure. Thank you for having us. I'm Ballyan Heighton. I am the president of Denton Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm David Pierce, and I'm the creator and director of the Denton's Day of the Dead Festival.
Very cool. Well, it's a pleasure having both of you guys here. I've been really looking forward to this interview, and I feel like it's become a good tradition now getting to sit down with you guys and talk about the festival. So give us, for anybody that hasn't heard of it, which probably very few, but anybody that hasn't heard of it, let's just do a 30,000-foot flyover. What can they expect to see at this festival?
Okay, so it's going to be a feast for the senses for sure. There's starting at 11 o'clock, we've got children's activities that start off in our pumpkin patch with all sorts of different games and crafts and activities there. We have live music and live dance performances, as well as all sorts of vendors, food and selling their wares. We've got mariachis that perform out on the street. We've got the coffin races. I mean, who can not mention the coffin races? We've got the coffin races that go from noon till 4 p.m. down the hill on Hickory Street. We have a lantern-lit twilight parade at 7 o'clock. That anybody can attend and join in, that goes around the square and through, weaves in and out of the little streets here in downtown. And then we've got two different performances of the Halloween show that we were talking about yesterday. Mm-hmm. My show, Cirque du Horror, will be running inside of Dan Silverleaf at 4:30 and 9:15.
So cool. Well, it's just a jam-packed day of so many different activities, which is really cool. And what I love so much about it is that it's something for everybody. You've got pumpkin patches and face painting and things like that for the kids, but you've also got, Bone Doggy and all these guys where if you really just want to rock out and, everything in between. It's really cool.
I think the city really gets into it.
Yeah.
When we had our booth last year, I would tell you 9 out of 10 people were stopping by and going, I love my city. I just love my city, that everybody is just so encompassing and, it serves on so many levels, the cultural side, the celebration side, the Halloween side. Everyone really has a good time and gets into it.
It's really good time. Also, public service announcement. We said this yesterday. We're going to say it again. Discover Denton does have a coffin in the coffin races. Just fair warning, you're going to lose. Anyways, moving forward. I was much nicer
all important
yesterday.
Stuff out of the way. That's right.
How many coffin entries do you have this year?
We have over 70 this year.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was just a little crazy.
That's right.
But it's super exciting. They made us take an oath this year. I don't know if y'all heard about this. Because we had a pre-meeting over at Eastside, and they bring all of the people together, and Joey made us read out an oath that said, I promise to chill out. I promise to have fun. I promise to be a good community member and not embarrass myself because it gets intense, man.
It does.
But they did make the booth people say that, so we can go crazy.
There you go.
Right?
You can go nutty.
That's right.
You can go absolutely nutty. I love it. Perfect. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the history of the festival, how this has developed over time, where this all began, and how it's continued to just morph and grow and take on a whole life of its own.
Well, I can speak to Denton's version of this festival. For me, when I first came to Denton as a musician at North Texas, one of the things that struck me about this town was this eclectic mix of different artists, of musicians, of entertainers. Brave Combo always comes to mind first. As sort of this Denton flagship band, and it's a band that's won Grammys for polka music, from all over the world. To me, you learned about sort of a Denton music scene as well as the music that you experience with the universities, right, with people from all over the world. And part of what I really loved about this city was that there was just the diversity. it was it was so wonderful to be involved in all of this. And so when I thought of a festival, I thought, well, how to best represent that side of Denton, that eclectic, that coming together of all these different people. And so I thought of a fall festival that celebrated multiple celebrations in the fall. You know, the harvest and elements of Halloween, and of course also Dia de los Muertos. And I thought that it would be great for this community to kind of come together, all aspects of the community, all peoples of the community, and maybe enjoy what they enjoy most about the fall. You know, if it is Halloween, if it is the harvest, if it is just coming together for a carnival, if it is Dia de los Muertos, it can be all of that. It's just sort of representative of what we have here in Denton.
Yeah, so cool, so cool. And I want to make sure that we get to touch a little bit on the Hispanic Chamber and some of the things you guys do, and then y'all's involvement in all of this as well, because it's a really cool connection and partnership.
It is, as part of the chamber that we're part of, it's a regional chamber, but we also have what we call our international branches. So there are branches that represent all different parts of Latin America, South America, and the Hispanic countries and community. Mm-hmm. What's interesting to see is when we do get together and talk about Dia de los Muertos is just how every different culture within the Hispanic community celebrated. For example, I was talking to the president of the Cuban Chamber a couple of Saturdays ago, and he said, oh, in Cuba we don't call it Dia de los Muertos, we call it Dia de los Difuntos, which is pretty much the same thing. But he was just saying we don't say the word muerte. He goes, we don't do that. So then we started talking about some of the traditions. But historically and in general, it's very big holiday in Mexico. Even though other cultures within the Hispanic community celebrate it as well. And for a lot of people, it's a very solemn occasion. The spirit of it, though, is that just generally it is. You stop one day a year, and actually it's two. One day is for adults, and another day is for children. But you celebrate your loved ones, and then the other 364 days out of the year, you live your life. So you might be preparing things that, let's say, if it's your grandparents that have passed away, and you create an ofrenda, which is an altar, you might put things there that they like. Cook things for them that day, and you think about that day, and you celebrate them that day. And I find that it's just very releasing. So that's the gist of it. It does go back beyond, I think, back to the Aztecs in some form, but it's just kind of morphed, over a period of time. And I think, like it's even in the opening of a James Bond movie, right? So I think that did a lot to promote the event and everything. But it represents a lot of things to many people. It's very festive. When people come to our booth and their parents are wanting their kids to ask us questions about Dia de los Muertos, of course, because there is a skeleton, people may say, oh, well, this has to do with Halloween. So we try to explain how it's not really, the skeleton doesn't represent like a scary thing within Halloween, but it is kind of like if someone, I think, Diego Rivera is one of the ones that painted the skeleton to represent, death. He made it female and call it La Catrina. And so I don't know if any of you do, David. I don't know if you as a kid played Loteria when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There is El Catrín. It's kind of like somebody that's fancy. So it's kind of saying, hey, it's kind of mocking a little bit to say, hey, whether you're rich or poor or whatever, underneath we're all the same.
That's right.
So that's basically the feel for it. But like I said, it means a lot to many folks. But I think just to celebrate and kind of just in the spirit of, hey, remember those that made us who we are, went before us. We can embrace that and then just make it our own, which I appreciate David has done that here in our town.
Very, very cool. Well, and like I said, there's so many different elements of this festival, everything from harvest to all this celebration and everything. And it really, really is cool. And there's something, I can't say it enough, something for everybody, which is so cool. Something I didn't really even know about, and I think you said you started this last year, but you guys ended up donating some money toward a scholarship program that the Hispanic Chamber has, correct?
Right.
That's right.
It's very generous of you guys, to do this. I know all the time and effort that goes forward, to do a festival, and so have a great appreciation for it. But the prior to even when the Hispanic Chamber was here, two universities and NCTC, the community college, so UNT, TWU, and NCTC, have this group that they call La Vida Denton. And what they do is just kind of carving out a group of students, a Hispanic community, that could use some kind of insight about how to culturally integrate into the college community, is to say, let's introduce you to the business community. And that's where the chamber came in. So we helped them put on an event. We are 3 years in a row where we ask vendors to come to the La Vida Denton event, and they get to visit with the students. The students, a lot of them plan to be entrepreneurs on their own, so they'll connect with the business owners, ask them questions, talk about, what would you do if this or that. And then we also, this year we had a panel. And so we had a panel of Hispanic business owners. And so the students were able to ask them any kind of question. And we had people like government, from different types of government, the ISD. We had a retired Secret Service agent. He represented our federal piece. And there's just, these people are about to go conquer the world, and from a cultural standpoint, they're trying to figure out how to maneuver it all. Yeah. So that's what we're just trying to do, is just to say, look, we're ambicultural, we're bicultural, we're biliterate, embrace it, and let's go on, which is something that the festival, I think, represents. You can be whoever you can be. But for those that are in attendance, we get anywhere between 150, 200 students, just depending, on the year, and they become eligible for a scholarship. And so each school will get a scholarship, and there's the La Vida Denton forms a committee, because each school has its requirements about how to handle the scholarship money that the students apply for, and then it gets awarded.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And what a cool thing to have Day of the Dead involved in that.
Absolutely.
As well. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's really fun. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but what I hear the most from everybody about this festival is this is just so Denton.
Right.
And just even leading up to it, all the shops putting sugar skulls on their windows, and everybody's kind of gearing up, and you can see, if you come really early to Hickory Street, you'll see them practicing with their coffins and all this stuff. So, I mean, it's a month-long ordeal, I feel like. But then when it finally kicks off, you've got so many different things, and it's so quirky and so unique, and we're all able to kind of, it's just as you said, everybody's kind of doing their own thing in their own way, and celebrating the town and each other, and it's just very, very, very cool. And very, very fun.
And that's the origin of it too. I think the common misconception with a festival like this, for maybe a lot of festival goers, is that there's one or two big sponsors, or maybe the entire city of Denton just puts it on. And what the truth is that the very, very first year that we did it, it was was me going to any different business that I could possibly think of and pitching the festival and explaining what the vision was, and maybe this business gave $150 and maybe that gave $300, and so then it's always been a very grassroots, the very humble beginnings to this festival. And so from that, from the very beginning, we had multiple Denton businesses. Man, my words.
That would be a cool term, though. Business, like a Denton business.
It's been a long day for me already.
Today. Yeah.
We can invent anything we want.
That's right. That's right. But they were with us from the start, and so as it's grown and we've added more businesses, it's the amount that they have offered to donate to contribute, that's increased as the festival has grown, and we tried, like we said, with the coffin races, over 70 teams, and there's infrastructure and stuff, everything that we have that has to be rented out, and so at the end of the day, at the end of the year, after all the dust settles and we've paid everything to put the festival on, then we have a little bit left over to where we can donate to a charity. And of course, we're talking about with the Hispanic Chamber the past couple of years, but and then just have a little bit left over to start all those expenses all over for the next year. And it's a cyclical thing, but it's a very beautiful thing, because from the start it wasn't some giant mega corporation's festival. It was truly the city's festival from the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, and it's just so much fun to see the diversity, exactly as you're saying. coffin races being a good example, where you've got this business doing a coffin, but you've also got this group of individuals doing a coffin. You've got somebody that is an artist, and they're going to paint very intricate, beautiful things on their coffin, and then you've got this big, muscle-bound, beef-eating guy who's pushing it, and they're walking hand in hand to do this thing together, you know. And you go to Cirque du Horror, and you've got little kids that are just loving it, and then you look to the left, and you've got some much older adults just loving it. I mean, it's so cool.
I
mean,
love the
such a
trash
good
talking
mix.
during the year, though.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Oh, there's
yes.
a lot that leads up to that. That's for sure.
Well, trash talking is just a given.
Yeah.
I know.
I love it. Very, very, very cool. Well, guys, can't support it and love it more. It's such a fun event. Really looking forward to it this Saturday, all day. Let's talk some more specifics as far as websites, times, all that good stuff for anybody that is looking to plan out their schedule.
You can follow us on all pretty much social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter. We have the webpage is just DentonDayOfTheDeadFestival.com.
Perfect.
And the schedule of the day is up there on our webpage. It's also, we're going to be putting up multiple times on Facebook and different social media outlets. We start at 11 o'clock when the festival opens up, and then we go till just about 9 p.m.
Perfect.
And so you can see the entire festival of the day there. Cirque du Horror's last performance starts around 9:15, and that goes a little later. But the festival proper, it shuts down around 9, with
Awesome.
the last band being Mr. Bubba Hernandez and his group of Merry Men out shutting it down for the main headliner. Yes, just come out because it's free. It's for the family. It's for the entire community. Not a ticketed event. You can come out and enjoy and experience anything that you want.
And I would say dress up. Everybody
for sure.
dresses up.
Yes.
So
Big
come
There,
on.
there is a costume contest too, and there are different categories. And Belle Ann, you're going to be a judge,
I
believe,
am.
again
That's
this
gonna
year.
be
So
fun.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. And the website is DentonDayOfTheDeadFestival.com.
You got it.
Perfect. All right, so make sure you guys go check it out. It is this Saturday. Do not miss it, because you're going to have to wait another 365 days to do it again. So make sure you clear your day on Saturday. Again, for all of you coffin racers, we're coming for you. Get used to the back of our coffin, because that's the only thing you're going to see. Anyways, moving
I love
forward, we're going to jump back into the music. Thank you guys very much for being here
Thank you
today.
for
We
having
really,
us.
really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
And we will see all of you guys at the Day of the Dead Festival. Thank you again for tuning in at DentonRadio.com. Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicOfDenton.com.